Donald Trump has mostly receded from public view since the election, appearing on Thursday at his press conference where you saw it. I'm not gonna repeat the stuff that he said there. He didn't even show up to the Four Seasons total landscaping thing. Now, he did make an appearance today for Veterans Day, but he didn't speak, which is how I like him best. He's a you wanna see him, not hear him kind of guy. But anyway, he is mostly receded from public view. He's also apparently receded from being president, according to the sources of Jonathan Lemire, Associated Press reporter, who says this is slowing a transition at the time of true crisis, referring to what we've been talking about them blocking Joe Biden. The coronavirus pandemic is surging out of control across the country, the worst it's ever been, state by state, setting record number of cases each day. And we have a president who, in the meantime, has largely abandoned his day job. He himself has not attended a coronavirus task force briefing in months. His public schedule does not show he's received an intelligence briefing since October 1st. Jeez. The White House hasn't read out a foreign leader call in weeks. He is simply not governing the country right now at a time of crisis. And we've known for a very long time, nobody's shocked to find out that he doesn't like doing the job, but he's not even pretending. Like when he used to get those intelligence briefings, that was a laughing stock, but at least he did it. His coronavirus task force appearances were an insult and a joke or both, but he was kind of doing them. He's not doing anything anymore. He's sort of president, but not really president at the same time, JR.
Yeah, you know what's weird? I was thinking about this, and when the story came out, I was like, you know what? I kind of had that thought, but didn't have a full conscious, completion of that thought. I was like, you know what? He hasn't been doing anything. And then I think because the reason I ignored myself is because I was thinking, but when has he ever done anything? But there was a different level of doing nothing. It was like literally detaching himself from any role, any connection, any communication, anything that's even the appearance of responsibility to serve your position. And I was like, man, he hasn't really done much. I mean, you see him campaigning and going off on mail-in ballots before the election constantly. That's all he's been doing. Because you know what? He's like a kid. You pour out a whole box of or a container of Legos in front of him, and he starts putting together because he's so excited. He just puts together random things. It looks like a blob. You go, well, here, little Johnny, here. Well, here's the instructions. Put together the spaceship. He's like, this is too much. And he just leaves it alone in a mess on the floor. That's what this guy's been doing. Yeah. He just wants to just make a mess with the Legos instead of creating something that's real with the Legos. And when someone tells him to, he cries and leaves.
Well, and the fear is that at some point, American democracy will accidentally step on one of those Legos, and you don't want that. That's just disastrous. By the way, I want to remember when we turn back to the super chats, I want to talk a little bit about Legos. But anyway, yeah, you're right. And it's not to say that he's not doing anything. He's spending his time doing something. We just don't necessarily know what it is behind the scenes. But we can see some of the effects. We already talked about all the firings, the purges that are going on. I assume he's involved in those. And behind the scenes, he is spreading misinformation around the election. We're gonna have a little bit more of that. It's gotten to the point where Biden's team is worried that Trump will encourage his supporters to disrupt the inauguration events. I don't know whether the fear involves actual violence, although there's reasons to fear about that, but just that they would go at all could be a problem. I honestly don't even know why you would have a real inauguration. It's still a pandemic. We should be avoiding these events where possible. I understand it's a big day for the country and everything, but we do have to be safe. Now, in terms of the misinformation, let me give you a little bit. We've been sort of, for the past few days, we've been tracking Trump's public statements. And by public statements, I mean tweets, because that's all that we're getting. So he tweeted, a guy named Al Schmidt, a Philadelphia commissioner and so-called Republican, Rhino, is being used big time by the fake two spaces news media to explain how honest things were with respect to the election in Philadelphia. He refuses to look at a mountain of corruption and dishonesty. We win.
What does that mean?
Does that mean that if you burn Al Schmidt, you win? Is that in the Constitution? I don't know exactly what that means.
Oh,
I don't think anybody knows what that means.
I think this official must have appeared on TV for him to even tweet about this, because he definitely didn't look at any statements, didn't look at any communication. Yeah, this is a TV appearance that Trump is responding to, because that's what he's doing with his time. He's waiting for people to come on TV and defend him, and he keeps finding people telling him the truth, and he can't take it, so he resorts to Twitter to go talk about those people. Somehow being a rhino now because they don't support you. Again, look how far we've gotten from reality. The main, not even main thing, the first thing we should notice in this is that he calls someone a rhino for not just going along with whatever he says. Yeah. Why is that relevant? This guy has his own mindset and is saying something, and he's probably terrible on 75 other things. But he says one bit of truth, and that makes him a rhino. And if it's a rhino, why is that so bad? What's he doing to you?
Trump. He wants loyalty. You could be the best Republican ever. If you ever don't agree with him when he wants you to, that's it. You're done. Good day, sir.
Yeah, and by the way, people like to call Democrats dinos too and stuff, and then maybe a Joe Manchins of the world, because he's literally working for the Republican Party and stopping policies and agendas that would actually help the American people. Now, this guy's mad and calling this guy a rhino because he's not helping you. Just look at the objectives of each one of these name callings that could happen.
Well, okay, so we have all of what you just said, the argument that you constructed, but Trump would respond, "We win," I guess. But in addition to that, in addition to just trying to push back against, basically pushing back against the fact checkers, that's what he's doing right now. He's saying you can't trust anyone who says this was a valid election, even if they're a Republican, because if they do that, in doing that, they become not a Republican anymore. It's a magic trick that he has. He also has maybe a new avenue of attack. I have no idea how you would prosecute the case that this implies, but he tweeted, "The fake posters at ABC Washington Post produced a possibly illegal suppression capital poll just before the election, showing me down 17 points in Wisconsin when, in fact, on election day, the race was even, and we are now preparing to win the state. Many such deplorable instances." So he lost Wisconsin, he's gonna lose Wisconsin. I don't know why he put deplorable in quotation marks. Is it a weird reference to Hillary that had no place to tweet? Yes. I don't know. It is, it's gotta be. But what he's saying there is that the polls that were off were illegal and that they suppressed the vote. I think that's dumb. I don't know what. Okay, so we've gone through a lot of court cases over the last week that didn't go anywhere, that were nonsensical in a variety of ways. But what would you even say to the judge? They did a poll, it was very suppressive, so no Wisconsin or revote. I don't know, what would you actually do? I have no idea what this leads to.
Yeah, well, the thing is, we know Trump in general has historically lost court cases all the time because he doesn't know what to do, or it's the people he appoints, his attorneys that he puts in place to give his arguments are dealing with nothing. So his attorneys have to go into court and make a case based off of what this guy is saying. Of course, he's confused as to why it's not working. He doesn't know how evidence works, because it goes back to his own ego and his brain. He thinks, I say it, it's true. It's literally all it is. Facts actually have no place in my world. If facts are in front of me, all I have to do is say no, and it goes away. Because that's what's happened his whole life. People have allowed him to get away with this kind of behavior his whole life. So now he's confused. He's a 5-year-old that doesn't know things aren't gonna always go your way. And if you want things to go your way, you have to work hard, maybe do some responsible things every once in a while. No, he just says it and thinks it's gonna go. And then every time he loses, he's like, well, let's change the person who's making these decisions. That's all it is.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.